CBS Sports Radio 1300 is WJZ AM Baltimore, WJZ FM HD3 Catonsville, Baltimore. Online at cbsbaltimore.com. The opinions expressed in the following paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors.
This is Dustin Clark, Director of Operations with Maryland Basketball. You're listening to Terp Talk with Bruce Posner.
This is Coons Ford Terp Talk with Bruce Posner. 60 minutes of Maryland athletics and your phone calls at 410-481-1300. Now, here's Bruce Posner and Terp Talk.
We welcome everybody into this evening at 6 o'clock, getting a little bit nicer out as we await the ACC tournaments this weekend. The women are up in Boston College, and, of course, the men are right over in Philadelphia at, is it People's Park, I think, or something like that. But it's about an hour and a half away, and hopefully, if the Terps win on Friday night against Notre Dame, I'll be heading up there for the championship game on Sunday. On the show tonight at 6:40 in the third segment is head coach John Tillman. We'll talk about the great win last week at Notre Dame and the absurdity of having to play Notre Dame again this week in round one or the semifinals of the ACC tournament. But there is breaking news in Maryland basketball, and that's why I put Dustin Clark's name up there as the first promo. The Terps hired today former Jacksonville coach Cliff Warren as director of basketball operations. Dustin Clark, a good friend and a good guy, too, and he's done a darn good job recruiting. Apparently, he was the man who was responsible for getting Mikhail Sikovsky in the fold for Maryland, the 7-footer from the Ukraine. Warren is 46. He's from Silver Spring. He played collegiately at Mount St. Mary's. Prior to his arrival at College Park, he was 9 seasons as the head coach at Jacksonville University, twice winning the Atlantic Sun Conference regular season title. Turgeon said Cliff's an outstanding addition to our staff. Curious, though, that a head coach comes in as director of operations, which certainly doesn't mean he'll recruit, he'll do a little bit of everything, but he still is responsible for scheduling and, the actual operation of the team. So I don't know what that means, but a former head coach for 9 years brings a lot of knowledge to the table, and seems like a pretty good hire. But I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know anything about the guy except his coaching record seems more than adequate for a school like Jacksonville University. So Cliff Warren is now on board with the University of Maryland with Mark Turgeon, and it's good to have a hire or somebody new after the 3 so-called defections a few weeks back. Last Saturday, of course, was senior day for the Maryland women. Beth Galaro scored 5 goals in her senior day, and Maryland won 22-12 against Virginia Tech. And what else is new? They play Virginia Tech in round 1. I think it's Thursday. First game of the ACC tournament. Maryland back to number 1. Doesn't really matter, though. They're 16-1, 6-1 in the ACC. Wrapped up a share of the regular season conference title. And that's after Duke defeated Carolina. Duke's the 4th seed. So it should be an interesting tournament. It always is. And, of course, the men, we'll talk about that later with Coach Tillman, will open up against Notre Dame. Now, the ACC, in their infinite wisdom, scheduled the 2 championship games at the same time on Sunday. You tell me why. I have no idea. Both at 1 o'clock. So, if you want to watch one, you're going to kind of miss the other, or you watch it afterwards. But to me, it's ridiculous. Last Saturday, just a tremendous effort after last week's disappointment at Johns Hopkins, who, by the way, is playing Villanova tonight over at Homewood. I think when the show's over, I'm going to head over and take a gander at that second half. Charlie Raffa dominated the exposition once again, 20 of 24 faceoffs. But this week, Maryland also finished their 6-on-6 offensive sets. Mike Chanachuk, 3 goals. Connor Cannizzaro, 3 goals. Matt Rambo, 2 goals. And it's on to the ACC tournament as the number 1 seed. That's correct. The number 1 seed. You could talk to me about a regular season share of the title, but if you tie the other team and you have played one time, and Maryland really handed it to Duke, who is now number 1, and yet, you know, it's a regular season tie, but Maryland gets the advantage of the number 1 seed, as if that means anything. Duke plays Syracuse, both teams that Maryland has beaten this year, and yet both teams are ranked over Maryland. Don't get it. Anyway, Coach Corrigan, who is Booker's cousin, I think, Kevin Corrigan, said, we came back, it was 8-8 with 6 or 7 minutes to go in the game, and then we did not have the ball again. Literally, I don't think we had a single 6-on-6 possession after that point. You can't play the whole game at one end of the field. They kicked our butts and face off all day. That and failing to clear the ball a couple times hurt, because you can't win if you don't have the ball. Maryland is now 5-1 all-time versus Notre Dame, but of course that one loss was a huge one because it prevented Maryland from going to the Final Four, and in essence cost Coach Dave Cottle his job, and that was 4 years back. Let me see, this is Tillman's 4th year, so yeah, 4 years back. With 4 points on 3 goals and an assist, senior Mike Chanachuk now has 15 hat tricks, 39 multi-points games, and 28 multi-goal games for his career. He extended his consecutive point-scoring streak to 35 games with the 4-point effort. But to me, the 2 stars of the game were junior Joe Locasio, who all of a sudden, a lot of complaints about Joe early in the year about shooting too much. Nobody's complaining anymore. That's all I can say. Joe Locasio has the fiercest shot on the team, went to the same school as Mike Chanachuk. So St. Anthony's, they must have something in the water up there, or must be a heck of a coach. With 2 points on 2 goals, freshman Matt Rambo now has 8 multi-point and 7 multi-goal games for his career. 4 points on 3 goals and assists. Connor Cannizzaro now has 3 hat tricks. You know, Cannizzaro scores 8-8, scored 3 of the final 4 goals, and he was just something special down the wire. You got to remember, this is a freshman, this is a middie, and this is a Dodger that Maryland has not had. So we take a look at bracketology right now, something that Coach Tillman would look at with me, because, you know, this is merely just for fun. You know, this was devised by Terry Foy from Inside Lacrosse. And right now, even though Maryland's ranked 5th, they're down as a number 2 seed because of their strength of schedule and overall RPI, and probably the defeat of Duke and Syracuse doesn't hurt much either. And their 2 losses were the 2 top 10 teams, Johns Hopkins and North Carolina, and outside of that, they've taken care of business. So they have Maryland in the lower half of the bracket as the number 2 seed to face the winner of Air Force and High Point, and then to go on to face the winner of Denver and Princeton. And then, of course, Cuse and Carolina are in the other quarter part of the draw. So May 10th and 11th is the first game of the playoffs. May 17th and 18th at Delaware, doubleheader, where Maryland hopefully will win their first game and be in that hunt for the Final Four. So all in all, a great week for the University of Maryland. Super win without question. Later on tonight, I will mention the Ravens' schedule comes out. Very interesting how that's really gone into a big issue these days. I'll talk about it a little bit about that with Dennis Kolatzis when he's on this next segment. Terps versus the Spartans in prime time. Maryland football's November 15th home date against defending Rose Bowl champion Michigan State is set for an 8 p.m. kickoff and will be carried live on the Big Ten Network. The conference announced Tuesday. For Maryland, it is the first scheduled televised primetime game since Maryland took on Notre Dame at FedEx Field on November 12, 2011, and its first home contest to be featured in primetime since facing Clemson that same year. If you remember that Notre Dame game, wow, the Irish put it to Maryland, and that was a game when Danny O'Brien got injured. I think it was his collarbone. I'm not positive. But Danny O'Brien got injured, was out for the rest of the year. Gravis, got to talk about my man Gravis for a minute. He is now a force on the Toronto Raptors. 11 points last night, 8 assists to help the Raptors even the series. You know, a lot of Gravis fans like myself were upset when he was when he was traded to Toronto from Sacramento, where he never was really given a shot. And, you know, he started for about 7 games, and the kid Isaiah Thompson took his position, and they traded him. Toronto wanted him as a backup point guard, and I think he was very upset at first because with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, he was seeing very, very little time. Things have changed. Game 1 of the playoffs, he had 18 points. Game 2 of the playoffs, he had 11 points, 8 assists. Gravis is a major factor. Gravis should be rewarded with that contract that every first-round draft pick awaits, and that's after his 3 years of locked-in salary. Now, that doesn't mean Gravis wasn't making a nice salary, because he was. But now he's got his shot, all right, to make the much better money. And good luck to Gravis. Have to take 1 minute here. I must take 1 minute and talk about the Wizards. I've always been a big Wizards fan, and after years of missing the mark, Ernie Grunfeld has put together a heck of a good team. You take a look at John Wall and Bradley Beal. You know, and if anybody out there thinks that first pick is always a lock, remember Kwame Brown. Bradley Beal, the Wall-Beal tandem was one of the best in the NBA. Then he traded for Marcin Gortat from Phoenix and Nene from Denver. I have to tell you, I really sold Nene short. But when this guy is healthy, there aren't many guys I would take over him at all. Trevor Ariza, what a great defensive addition, a real good three-point shooter. And then Grunfeld goes out and signs Andre Miller and Drew Gooden for the playoff run. Their depth has improved greatly. You toss in Trevor Booker and Martell Webster, and it's extremely easy to figure out why the Wizards are for real. And let me tell you, they are for real. They'll win this series against Chicago. I won't be shocked if they swept them. And I want to tell you something. I see them advancing to the finals of the Eastern Conference because Miami, or they'd be playing Toronto, or Atlanta. They would play Atlanta or Indiana. Take my chances there for sure. Definitely take my chances. Indiana is not the same team it was. Of course, they feature Lance Stevenson. We all remember Lance Stevenson. Actually, the guy who Gary wound up saying he didn't want because he had Gravis coming back, and that was it for Lance. So anxious to see how the Wizards do. Maryland baseball is making a shade of a run. I think they're 9-11 right now. They're in the standings well enough where they would make the ACC tournament somewhere around 24-14 or 24-15, and just won the series last weekend against number 25 Georgia Tech. They continue to have that number one starter in Jake Stinnett, and when Stinnett pitches, Maryland wins for the most part. This guy's been incredible. He had a no-hitter this year, and Maryland's lineup is powerful right down the order, and Maryland baseball could finally make the ACC tournament. If they could string together some wins at the end of the year, they might even have that real outside shot of getting an at-large bid, no matter how they do in that tournament. But when you have a number one pitcher like Jake Stinnett in the format that they use in the ACC tournament, they have a chance. And, good for Maryland baseball. That is for certain. On the subject, get back to lacrosse a second. Connor Cannizzaro and Charlie Raffa were named ACC Players of the Week. Cannizzaro for his hat trick and for the win against Notre Dame, and Maryland's junior faceoff specialist, Charlie Raffa, is this week's Defensive Player of the Week. Doesn't make much sense to me that a faceoff guy is considered defensive, but what a season Charlie Raffa has had. 20 of 24. How about 15 of 21 against Drew Kennedy at Hopkins? Week by week, It goes on, and Charlie Rafa might just be the most valuable player that the Terrapins have. He's been something special all season, and a great reason that Maryland is 10-2. Now, when you take a look at what Coach Corrigan had to say, when Rafa wins every faceoff, it's so hard. When Maryland gets a bit of a lead, they've got to be the toughest team to come back on. Why? Because of Charlie Rafa. So we're going to get closer with more in depth on Maryland lacrosse when we come back on the third segment, and we have head coach John Tillman on. But for right now, let's head out to our first break. And you are listening to Coons for Terp Talk here on CBS Sports Radio. Let me tell you about Viner Consulting real quick. Viner Consulting helps you make more money for your business. Call them for IT and business help. Everything Viner does points you towards more success. Everyone has a guy, and Wayne Viner is my guy for help with accounting, inventory systems, and more important than anything else, what he's done with my website is just phenomenal. Check it out at TerpTalk.com. Wayne Viner. Let him be your guy for your business at 301-251-2900 or on the web at makeyourcompanywork.com. That's 301-251-2900. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio here on 1300 AM in Baltimore.
Tie-ups lingering around the area. The Interloop have had a rough go of it. This report brought to you by your Baltimore area Toyota dealers. The Interloop travelers have had a rough go of it. Interloop, you are waiting off 895 solid to Liberty. Things clear out through the 83s, but still busy getting you from Charles off and on out towards Perry Parkway, 95 north. A long slow trip from the 895 merge, heading just about all the way into White Marsh, eastbound 50, bumper to bumper from 450 into the Severn River Bridge. The crash that was sitting there, gone, but those delays, well, they're a tad more stubborn. Also, in terms of a waiting line, 95 north has a backup off and on from 198 heading all the way up towards 695 for Arbutus. At Toyota, legendary dependability has just taken on a whole new personality inspired by bold new designs. Search Toyota's official website via Toyota.com for special offers that make buying your new Toyota more affordable than ever. Toyota. I'm Liz Dravick with traffic. CBS Sports Radio, 1300.
Video gamers, save $10 off general admission tickets today to the region's only video gamer event, Video Gamers United, coming to the DC Convention Center August 16th and 17th. If you're hooked on Candy Crush, Words with Friends, and Minecraft, then don't miss the gaming event of the year. This event is the size of 4 football fields, jam-packed with amazing games and activities for the whole family, including a costume contest. Save $10 off each ticket today. Go to vgu.eventbrite.com. That's vgu.eventbrite.com before this offer is gone.
Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On kellyexchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, kellyexchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit kellyexchange.com today.
My name is Mark Apple, and I'm a consumer bankruptcy attorney with Waldman, Grossfeld, Apple, and Bear. If you're afraid of losing your home, you're afraid of wages being garnished, call me, 410-437-7711, extension 4, and you'll get to my desk. We have offices located all around the Baltimore Beltway. Call me, Mark Apple, 410-437-7711, extension 4.
No one likes lawyers until they need one. But if you've dealt with an insurance company, you know that you're not in good hands, they're not good neighbors, and they're not on your side. I'm Mike Grossfeld. At Waldman, Grossfeld, Apple, and Bear, we've been protecting the rights of people for over 40 years. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, hurt on the job, or have suffered at the hands of a negligent doctor, call me, Mike Grossfeld, at 888-8-LEGAL-6 888-8-LEGAL-6. That's 888-8-LEGAL-6. We'll fight for you.
Isn't it time for your family to have the services of a financial planner? Call Rob Weissman, a chartered financial consultant. Rob has provided financial planning, investments, and insurance products to the Baltimore community for over 24 years. Rob will provide a free consultation, review your financial positions, and make recommendations. He will monitor your financial plan on an ongoing basis. Call Rob Weissman, 410-653-6260. Rob Weissman is a registered representative of Salmon Security Company, member FINRA SIPC. Baltimore, listen up. If you want crabs, you have to head to the Costas Inn on North Point Boulevard. There is no comparison in all of Maryland for the greatest crabs and crab cakes ever. Costas also serves unbelievable steamed shrimp, Greek salads, and steaks for lunch and dinner. Nick, Pete, and Costas Triantopoulos run the perfect restaurant to go with family and friends. Give Costas Inn a call at 410-477-1975 and tell them the Terp Talk guy sent you. Trust, honesty, integrity. That's the motto of Offit & Roth, PA, certified public accountants and business consultants. Clients of Offit & Roth get personalized quality service that is beyond comparison. Check out their extensive list of services at www.offitroth.com. Co-founder Alan Roth and his son Michael, a Maryland graduate, have extensive experience working with clients in virtually every industry. Call Offit & Roth at 410-356-6600. There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car from than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Over the years, I have purchased many cars and trucks for GM Dennis Kolatzos, receiving the best price, service, and comfort in dealing with a top-notch executive. Coons Ford Terp Talk listeners can view their inventory at CoonsFordBaltimore.com. Coons Ford carries a huge inventory of Motor Trend's Car of the Year, the Fusion, Hybrid Escapes, the 35-mile-per-gallon Focus, Mustangs, Expeditions, and of course the F-Series trucks. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. What a great place to buy your new Ford. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Take exit 17 off of 695. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800.
Your first choice for filling prescriptions in the Baltimore area should be the James Pharmacy, a Health Mart pharmacy. As a Health Mart pharmacy, the James Pharmacy has a personal commitment to its communities, is locally owned, and the pharmacists know there is nothing more important than your family's well-being. Located for the last century at 1117 Light Street in Federal Hill, the James Pharmacy is owned and operated by Avi Pelta, a University of Maryland pharmacy school graduate. Though located in Federal Hill, the James Pharmacy delivers at no charge to the entire Baltimore metro area. Outside of Baltimore, no problem. The James Pharmacy will UPS your prescriptions on a moment's notice. Open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 to 3. Call the James Pharmacy, a Health Mart pharmacy, at 410-752-5810. Remember, Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
Hi, this is Randy Etzel, head football coach at the University of Maryland. You're listening to Terp Talk.
Welcome back to Coons Ford Terp Talk. Call 410-481-1300 now. Once again, here's Bruce Posner.
Welcome back here to segment 2 of Coons Ford Terp Talk. And on the phone right now is my good friend Dennis Kolatzis. And Dennis, of course, a big Randy Etzel fan, correct?
Huge Randy Etzel fan, absolutely.
All right. You know, Dennis, you still hear when I go and people talk about Maryland football, they still believe that Maryland's not going to be able to compete in the Big Ten. Is that ridiculous or what?
They're just not paying attention. Randy did a great job, at his previous school, and there's no indication that he can't do a great job at Maryland. And now it's got to be attractive for a kid to come to Maryland and play, against all those powerhouses, the Michigans, the Ohio State that are coming in. I'm very excited as a Maryland fan to watch these teams come into the Bird Stadium and play. So I think he'll be able to do it at this level. And he's got some time and he's got some talent coming in. they'll be fine.
Yeah, certainly the skill position situation with Maryland, with Deion Long and Stephon Diggs and Marcus Leak, and now Tavon Jacobs and Laverne Jacobs, and Wes Brown and Brandon Ross. Maryland might be deeper in those skill positions than almost any team who they face this year, except maybe Ohio State. And I'm not so sure about that. And by beefing up the line, I can't wait. And, when Randy was on last week, you commented to me that his confidence level was at a high. And you got to like that when you hear your coach.
Absolutely, because he's a humble guy. He's not going to tell you something that isn't true. And to compete with those teams, you've got to have stout offensive and defensive lines, and you can have all the skilled players in the world, but until you start beefing up that offensive line and that defensive line, you're going to be a mediocre team. And I think Randy's doing a great job of focusing on the offensive and defensive lines for Maryland.
Yeah, that's for certain. And with some of the additions, it should be a better year. Obviously, I can't wait for the season to start. And, of course, Dennis, the NFL season really starts tonight, doesn't it, with the new schedule?
Well, the NFL is structured. They're trying to structure themselves where there's something to talk about every month of the year, where they have no off season, which is why they moved the draft to May 8th through the 10th. And tonight, of course, the big announcement, the schedule, and hopefully it'll be a favorable one for the Ravens. Hopefully we'll get an opening home game and a favorable bye during the year, mid-season or later towards the year.
Well, certainly for once, I hope we don't play Cincinnati in Cincinnati the last game, because to me, that is because it's a rival. It doesn't. I don't complain about that if it's every other year, or if it's. But every year at Cincinnati, that last game, and like happened last year, it turned out to be crucial. And with the advantage and playing much better than the Ravens did, the Ravens went down and their season was over. But of course, it's only one game. But just something unfair about that. I'm not sure what, but. Just bothers me, that's all.
It's probably unfair to the Bengals, because had it not been a rebuilding year for us, and had it not been for the injuries to the offensive lines and the running backs, Andy Dalton threw 4 picks in that game, and I like the matchup selfishly. It is repetitive, no question about that, but we match up well against them these days, and with a better roster this year, with a better team coming in, I have confidence that the Ravens will make the playoffs again.
I sure hope so. All right, with the offense they've brought in, with the receivers, talk about skill positions. With the guys they've brought in, I'm fairly confident. So what's going on at Coons Ford? I see you're back up loaded with ammunition again.
Yeah, I'm getting 40, 50 vehicles in a day now, if you can believe that, Bruce. They're coming in with the truckloads, 5, 6, 7 carriers every day, and they're going out just as fast as they're coming in. And we're also trading a nice number of late-model trades as a result. A lot of them we can certify through Ford. You get a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. And our service department continues to just do outstanding work. Got several compliments today. One lady said you would have thought she was the only person there. She got so much attention, and the lounge was full of people. So those are good things that are happening at our store. Yeah,
the service stands out. And, of course, I buy all my cars from you. It's been for years. And I had somebody say to me, he said, "Are you still friendly with that guy?" And I won't mention the dealership because you were working somewhere else when I bought a car from you. And I said, "Yeah, he's still a close friend. Where is he now?" So I said, "He's over at Coons." So it doesn't go well.
Probably the only person in Baltimore that doesn't know where I am, where I've been since 2000.
I don't know how they could know where you are, to tell you the truth, but not a big sports fan. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha. How can you not be a big sports fan in this town with everything going on?
It's hard not to, and glad to see the Wizards doing well. The Warriors.
Yeah, I've been watching them. I've watched both games. In fact, I've enjoyed them very much. The first one in particular, not so much last night.
Hey, one thing about the Ravens' home schedule, while we're on the subject, they really have an attractive home schedule.
Absolutely.
And road schedule. I mean, they go to New Orleans, Tampa, Miami. I mean, there's places if you want to do that old road trip. I'm going to try and drag you down to Miami this year, Dennis.
I know you like going there. It's like a home game for the Ravens. You make it awfully appealing. I may have to drive, and I hate the fly stuff.
Well, all I can tell you is this, all right? Last time they played in Miami, I can't even tell you how many Ravens fans were there. Completely took over the stadium.
Yeah, on TV, it sounded very much like a home game.
It was. All right, my man. Take care, Dennis. Good talking to you.
Thank you, sir. Go Ravens and go Terp.
All right. That, of course, Dennis Kalatzis. And, taking a look at the Maryland basketball home and away opponents for its first year next year. They have home dates against 5 teams. Let's go over it because it's a little complicated. Indiana, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And they will also host Nebraska, Northwestern, Penn State, and Rutgers. Now, their road games will be Indiana, Michigan State, Nebraska, Penn State, and Rutgers, Illinois, Iowa, Ohio State, and Purdue. So what you're looking at is Illinois, Iowa, and Ohio State are the 3 teams that they play only on the road. It's kind of like the ACC schedule, but for this particular year coming up, play Indiana twice, Michigan State twice, Nebraska once, Penn State twice, and Rutgers twice. And then I think everybody else one time. It could be interesting. And it's also going to be interesting to see who Maryland plays in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Now, Maryland right now is already signed to play Villanova. I think it's the Coaches versus Cancer game. They're going to, I believe, have that big opening game next year again at the Barclays Center. I know they've signed on. I don't know if the opponent's been announced, but good things are going to happen with Maryland basketball this year. As we talked about in segment 1, they've hired a new coach, Cliff Warren, who will take over Director of Basketball Operations. But I just like the spread of the team. If we get some strong play out of Romello Trimble, which is what we're supposed to, and we get any kind of performance out of the 2 bigs, and that, of course, is Trayvon Reed and Mikhail Sikovsky. And, we have the other ones coming back with Seth Allen and Jake Lehman, and Des Wells will be here for a senior year. This team has got some depth. There's no doubt about it. And again, maybe part of the reason these guys left is so they could see that it was going to be extremely competitive for playing time on the team next year. And that's really what you want. That's really how you want it to break down. So with that being said, we'll head out to our second break. When we come back, we're going to have Coach John Tillman on, talk about the upcoming ACC tournament, and we'll have some minutes to look a little football and look a little recruiting if we have time. And for that, we'll head out to our second break. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Coons for Terp Talk this Wednesday night at 6 p.m. and next Wednesday night at 6 p.m. and every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. here on CBS Sports Radio 1300. The Bagby Restaurant Group presents 1010. That's 1010 Restaurant on 1010 Fleet Street, 410-244-6867. This is Southern style cooking. It's a great atmosphere, a great bar, great Sunday brunches, and I want to tell you, the food is off the charts. Blake Smith and his family really know how to present food in a restaurant. It is super, just like Bagby's Pizza is. That's 1010 Restaurant on 1010 Fleet Street, 410-244-6867. Billy Shriver and Terry Aronson's Tark's Grill in Green Springs Station has taken the town by storm. Everyone says the food is superb. Great salads, burgers, and steaks, and the seafood dishes are beyond expectation. At Tark's, the menu includes everything from light fare on up. Once you go, you will fall in love with the food and fun atmosphere and the reasonable pricing of this upscale restaurant. Call 410-583-TARK for reservations. When it's time to sell your house in the Baltimore area, there is no one better in the entire region than Harriet Wasserman and her entire marketing group. Harriet and her Prudential team are synonymous with sales success. The Wasserman team understands every facet of selling your house in this market. Call 410-458-5300 or check out their website at www.wassermanteam.com. Call Harriet Wasserman 410-458-5300 800-848-8300.
If things in your life are looking blurry, there's only one place to go to see straight again, and that's Levin Eye Care. Dr. Howard Levin and Dr. Richard Levin, both University of Maryland alums, have 35 years of combined experience in serving the eye care needs of their patients. With 2 great offices in Perry Hall and Parkville, these doctors can address any concerns about your vision. Call 410-529-1950 to set up an appointment. Levin Eye Care accepts most medical insurance, including Medicare.
Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On KellyExchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, KellyExchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit KellyExchange.com today. Cunningham's, part of the Bagby chain, the newest restaurant in town at One Olympic Place in Towson. Free valet parking, open every night. The food there is fantastic. I've been there. Decor, the whole atmosphere at Cunningham's is super. I highly, highly recommend it. But of course, when it's part of the Bagby chain and the Smith family, you know it's going to be a success. 410-339-7730. That's Cunningham's at One Olympic Place in Towson. There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Let's talk Coons pre-owned certified used cars. All of our listeners can buy with confidence. Coons Ford of Baltimore has an exclusive 7-day exchange policy. If for any reason whatsoever customers want to exchange a vehicle within 7 days, no problem. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. That is why they take a lot of time to make sure we have the lowest priced pre-owned vehicles on the web. When our listeners go to our website, CoonsBaltimoreFord.com, they will see all of the outstanding values we have to offer. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800. Join 105.7 The Fan May 25th at Ripken Stadium for the LGC Celebrity Kickball Classic, hosted by Marlon Brown and Matt Elam. Tickets on sale now. 1057thefan.com for more.
This is Jesse Bernhardt, and you're listening to Terp Talk with Bruce Posner.
This is Coons Ford Terp Talk. Call 410-481-1300 now. Once again, here's Bruce Posner.
Back here on segment 3 of Coons Ford Terp Talk, and again, the big weekend for Maryland lacrosse with their final ACC titles ever. And on the phone to kind of preview what's going to happen this weekend up in Philadelphia is my good buddy, head coach of the Maryland lacrosse squad, and coming off a great victory against Notre Dame, John Tillman. John, welcome in tonight.
Thanks for having me, Bruce. Always a pleasure to be on.
Hey, it's a great reward when you go up to South Bend and defeat Notre Dame, and then you got to play them again 7 days later, or 6 days later.
Yeah, really, kind of an interesting dynamic. And sometimes with a round robin and then a tournament, it just kind of works out that way. We've been pretty fortunate that a lot of times in the tournaments we play, we had played those first round games a lot earlier, but sometimes it just works out that way.
John, I should have. The first thing I should have said when you came on is congratulations on really being the number 1 seed and having a 4-1 record in what has to be the toughest conference in the history of men's lacrosse.
Tell you what, our guys have done a good job all year. They've worked very hard, and I give the kids and the staff all the credit in the world for it. I think the big thing is we just have so much respect for everybody in the league. Top to bottom, it's a really good league. So obviously what's ahead of you when you've got to play those guys, and they're all really talented. They're well-coached teams. They're athletic, they're skilled. So we feel pretty fortunate, and we know the nature of college lacrosse. We've been to a lot of close games, and they can go one way or the other, and obviously we're fortunate enough that some of those went our way.
5 Terps landed on the All-ACC team, which isn't far from being the All-America team because of the strength of the ACC. I read something that that North Carolina is next to like fifth in the ACC and fourth in the country. That doesn't make much sense, does it?
No, it's weird how that works. I guess, I think it speaks to just how good Carolina is, but also just the depth of the conference. And, everybody top to bottom is so competitive and just so talented.
What I love about the team this year is that you're 10-2, a great record, disappointing loss to Hopkins, but that's the way it goes. It seems like every week it's somebody else. And last week, it seemed like it was Cannizzaro and maybe Lacasio stepped up. And the week, your wins have been led by different people. And maybe always the constant is Amato and Chanachuk and Michael Earhart. But it seems like every week somebody else pops up. And that's how you win, isn't it?
Well, I think for us, we felt like if we were going to be good, we would have to rely on a lot of different people. We certainly like our team, but I think most of our guys would admit we really don't have, maybe a superstar that we can really just say, okay, you get the ball, make something happen every single time, and we'll get on your back. And in a way, it's nice to have a guy that is, extremely dynamic, and everybody can kind of play off him. But in another way, I think it forces everybody to feel like, all right, I might get an opportunity here, or I've got to keep working because, I might get my chance, and I've got to make the most of it.
Coach, again, we're talking to head coach John Tillman on a few days before they play Notre Dame in the round one, the semifinals of the ACC tournament. Certainly one of your key contributors this year has been Charlie Raffa. Coach Corrigan commented that the last 6 minutes of the game, they never had the ball, which was almost minus about 20 seconds true. Now, everybody's got film on Raffa. You know that Petramala must have studied him infinitely. So did Corrigan. Everybody has, and yet he can't be stopped. What makes him special, Coach?
Well, that's one of the things going into this game is, reading some of the comments after, they've really mentioned the face-offs and how big that was last week, and the stats certainly bear that out. We're trying to anticipate, all the different things that they might do, whether it's different personnel or different schemes, different tactics, and how, some counters to those things. But I think first and foremost, Charlie is a very athletic guy. He's built the way you'd want a face-off guy to be built. He's strong. He has strong legs. He's got great balance. He has got good size. He's tough to take off the ball, yet he's very explosive as an athlete. You don't really realize it because I wouldn't say he's overly fluid, but he is a guy that was a high school quarterback. So, obviously he's got, great instincts. He's got pretty good niftiness at times when he needs to be. He's got good ball skills. And I think he has a good understanding of all the nuances as a face-off guy, which sometimes is go with your move. Sometimes it's, I'm going to have to change things up. He's ultra competitive. And I think, Charlie would tell you, we have 3-4 guys in practice that he's battling every day that really help him and help him get better. Certainly Curtis Holmes was one of those guys last year who was a veteran guy that I thought really helped him. But we have some younger guys that are doing a good job with Charlie. And Ryan Moran does a great job as face-off coach, just every day just working with him, but also studying film. And I think Charlie would be the first to tell you, too. He has really good wing guys and other guys on the team that help him, get some of those ground balls and some of those face-offs.
It doesn't hurt to have Michael Earhart. It's funny. I know it's his first year at Long Stick Midi, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. It seems to me that Jesse Bernhardt has just turned him into a miniature Jesse Bernhardt with the way he scoops ground balls.
Yeah, I think, Michael was very excited that Jesse was coming back, and selfishly so, just because he knew that Jesse knew the position so much better than Michael did. And Michael, was a guy that certainly could have stayed down low, and, he embraced the opportunity to help the team. Obviously had to kind of get outside his comfort zone and play a position. He really hadn't played a lot, But he felt like if that was what the team needed, he would do it. That's the type of guy he is. But when Jesse decided to come back, we were all super excited, Jake as well. And I think just some of those little subtle things, the little tricks, just little plays, maybe, being ahead of the play, looking for some reads or some cues. Jesse's as good as it gets, and I think Michael benefited from that.
Again, we're talking to head coach John Tillman. John, a couple more guys I want to talk about. First of all, number 40, another ground ball guy. I know you had to be mad. You were upset with him with the double penalty last week. But overall, this guy is part of the heart of this team. This is one of the hardest playing kids I've seen, and he picks up that position of being the short stick that you're not afraid gets caught one-on-one.
No, Brian is, you kind of mentioned it, is really, the heart and soul of our team in a lot of ways. We have a couple guys we put in that category. I think we could throw like a Casey Ikeda and Matt Dunn in there, among others. But Brian's energy and his passion, his will, his toughness, it's hard to find anybody that really compares to how hard he plays. And it's not just in games, it's every day in practice. When Brian doesn't practice, practices are different. And that says a lot about Brian. And, Brian's going to make some plays. He's going to do a great job like he always does. I think at times, like any guy, he's going to make a mistake or two because he's playing so hard. And, I think if we can find that fine balance on a regular basis, which we've done most of the time, and Brian, to his credit, has done most of the time, that's right where we want to be. And, obviously being dodged so many times, he's going to take a foul or two. But I think when you're a guy and you're going into a ground ball scrum or, you want a guy in your foxhole, I know one of my first choices would be Brian Cooper.
I was watching the game with 6 or 7 of my friends, and when Kavanaugh gave him the cheap shot and then he got the penalty, it was almost unbelievable that nobody saw that. Obviously, the refs didn't see it, or they wouldn't have called it that way. But, I'm sure you got to calm Brian down for the rematch because Kavanaugh really took a cheap shot at him.
Well, through the course of the game, things happen, and there's going to be hits one way or the other. I think that the thing that we, need to do a better job of, because we really took 5 penalties in the second quarter, and we don't want to have more than 2 or 3 in a game, and we had 5 in a quarter, and that's just, to me, we got to be careful of our discipline and do a better job there and have a little more poise. And we practiced some things this week to try to do a better job in that regard. And we can't worry about what happened last week. What we got to do is really focus on the things that will help us be successful, and we got to play with emotion, but we can't be emotional.
That's a good way to put it, and I think that Cooper is. They never made a Cooper who isn't a tough kid, though.
Absolutely.
It reminds me of the Holmes family. Okay, it's the same way. Another guy who I think has stepped up recently. And obviously, he mentioned to me that it was a lot of coaching with Ryan and whatever. Joe Locascio, his shot is turning out to be, along with Chanichuk, maybe the best shot on the team. He is firing bullets at the goalie.
Yeah, Joe's a very hard worker, and I think Coach Moran's done a wonderful job with him, developing his skill set and just helping his all-around game. But I think Coach Moran would tell you that Joe has become the player that he is because of Joe and because of his hard work and his dedication. He's typically one of the first guys at practice and one of the last guys to leave day after day, off season, and you name it. He came in as kind of an alley dodging guy as a freshman and has really embraced trying to really reinvent his game and evolve into a really good all-around player. And he's scoring some goals for us, and certainly last week's left-handed goal was a big one for us. But he's done a great job off wings of face-offs and defensively, and he's also done a great job off the field with just mentoring and guiding and leading a lot of our younger players. And I think he's a guy that is kind of overlooked by some people as a leader on this team, but certainly I know the coaches have appreciated all he's done to help bring these young guys along.
I'll tell you one thing. I know you got to be happy. The team's got to be thrilled about getting some action in Philadelphia with all your Philadelphia kids. I think it will be a Maryland crowd at that game.
Yeah, we hope so. We hope that obviously a lot of the people in Philly, obviously in the Baltimore area, Maryland area, hopefully they can get up that way, and obviously anybody in that New Jersey, New York area that are Terp fans or lacrosse fans will come, and we certainly try to be a team that plays very hard and with a lot of energy and unselfishly, so that maybe if somebody's on the fence, they might appreciate the way we try to play and be excited about pulling for us. But hopefully, being the closest team there, that will help us because Notre Dame, they're going to be a tough out. They, looking at those face-off stats, it was 8-8 with about 10 minutes left. We had won a lot of face-offs, and we really didn't turn those opportunities into as many possessions or as many goals as we would have liked. So, we got to look at some ways that maybe we could play a little bit better because I know, they'll change some things. They'll make some adjustments. They have great coaches, some really good players, and they're going to be extremely motivated.
Were you happy with the 6-on-6 play against Notre Dame after the Hopkins game? I mean, to me, it looked like a different team offensively.
Yeah, I think we made some strides there. Again, a good friend of mine said it, and I agree with him. Your team, when they've looked good, has looked really good, and at times when they've looked bad, they've been really bad, and I wouldn't disagree with that. I think part of that is youth. I think part of that is a lot of new guys in new spots. And then for us, it's, hopefully, when we've made some mistakes or not played well, we've learned from that and tried to improve and grow as a team. But we really don't have anybody on the offensive end doing what they were doing last year. And I think that is something that I would not want to live through ever again. But we really had to reinvent ourselves on offense, and part of that is a credit to the players that graduated. We have some guys that were, big contributors for us for 2-3 years, maybe 4 years, when Owen Bly and John Hoss and Jake Bernhardt, among others, Kevin Cooper. I mean, I can go on. And so when we needed some guys to step up, we really need them to grow up quickly. And, it's not easy to do that. So at times, with the teams that we play against, all the talented teams and the athletes that we're going against, they can make you look silly. They can make you look bad.
They can, but they haven't done that to you too often. I mean, you're 10-2, and certainly in the ACC tournament, there is not one upset in that game. Anybody can win any game, and I say that a lot of times that's coach talk, but this time it's true talk. There are no upsets.
No, I think you look at top to bottom every week. If you have a bad quarter, or you don't face off well, or you don't get a good performance in goal, you really put yourself behind the 8 ball to try to get a W. And so consistency is really critical. And, week to week when you're working with young people, that's sometimes tough because there's a lot of distractions for college student athletes.
Coach, I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to be able to get up there Sunday should you be fortunate enough to make it to the championship game. And the best of luck this weekend. And let's hope the kids play like Terps, like you always say.
Yeah, I hope so. The guys, again, just trying to put back-to-back weeks of good lacrosse together is always tough. And, again, we think Notre Dame's a really good team. And, we were lucky to get out of there last week. So we're going to have to clean some things up and get better if we want to try to get another one this week. All
right. Thanks a lot for coming on, Coach.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Of course, that was head coach John Tillman. Went through almost the whole team. And the first guy I had scheduled I wanted to talk about, I forgot, that's Goran Murray, long, in-tight defense player who's had a great year and really has drawn the best player on every other team and has done a great job and is almost a virtual lock for All-American. All right, before we head out, got a minute or so left. I want to tell you about the Comans Brothers and Superior Tours. $32 to either the Trop or Caesar's Palace. You get $30 back. It only costs you $2. With summer coming up, that's a hell of a deal. $63 round trip to New York City for a one-day trip. 410-602-1704. That's the Coman Brothers and Superior Tours. All right, that wraps it up for today. Again, the game is on 7 o'clock, 7:30, ESPNU on Friday against Notre Dame. And then the championship game is Sunday at 1 o'clock. Should Maryland win and advance in the women games on the same time, the championship game on Sunday, they got to go up against Virginia Tech and then probably Duke. And then you know what that means, another matchup with North Carolina. that is always worth the price of admission. I'll post where that's going to be on TV. I'm not sure. I know it'll be on at least ESPN3. So that does it for today. Stay tuned. Is the Jackpot Hour on next? Okay. Stay tuned on Saturday for the Sports Maven. Coons Ford presents the Sports Maven. And, of course, if you want some more Terp Talk, Saturday morning, 8 o'clock on our sister station, 1580. This is Bruce Posner signing off. We will talk to you next week here on Terp Talk. The Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, whose goal is to provide the highest quality of care to our patients. We strive to apply leading-edge treatment strategies, including complex spine or brain surgery, interventional pain management, and physical therapy. The group is led by Dr. Ira Garanzik, who is joined by Dr. James Conway, Dr. H. Christopher Lawson, Dr. James Frazier in the field of neurological and spine surgery. Dr. Seth Kaufman specializes in interventional pain management. Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center is located at 5051 Greenspring Avenue. Call them for an appointment at 410-664-3680. That's 410-664-3680. The Comans Brothers in Superior Tours. $32 to either the Trop or Caesar's Palace, and you get $30 back. It only costs you a deuce to go to AC. $63 round trip to New York City for a one-day trip. You got to go and come back the same day, but it only costs $63. You can't beat that. 410-602-1704. That's Superior Tours and the Comans Brothers. 410-602-1704. Mark Abman and Abman's Delicatessen have been serving Baltimore for over 81 years. It's just a fact that Atman's, open 7 days a week at 1019 East Lombard Street, has the best corned beef and deli in town. But now they've expanded into the catering side. Have a Lombard Street party or use Atman's for your condolence trays. Check it out on atmansdeli.com or call 410-563-2666 and ask for Elaine. I love Atman's Deli.
Dr. Gaber & Associates is more than an internal medicine practice. Both offices are completely equipped with physical therapy services run by an experienced staff of registered physical therapists, Elliot Weiner, Mark Smearman, and Ken Miller. They treat arthritis, sports, auto or work injuries, post-op conditions, and more. After an initial evaluation, a treatment program is individualized and can include modalities such as neuromuscular reeducation, ultrasound, muscle stimulation, traction, work conditioning, and balance training. Don't forget it's flu season, and flu shots are now recommended for all age groups, including healthy, low-risk persons. And there's more. Dr. Gaber's practice does not have the dreaded voicemail. You will always talk to a friendly staff member. So if you are in need of a private physician, call 410-986-4400 for Dr. Gaber's office at 341 Calvert Street and 410-653-8840 for the office at 1838 Green Tree Road in Pikesville. Easy parking at both locations. The therapy office is open Saturdays 9 to 1, and Dr. Gaber accepts nearly all insurances.
This season, the 2013 champion Bayhawks and Lexus are giving away an ES350 to one lucky season ticket holder at the last game of the season. Every season ticket purchase will amount to one entry into the giveaway. 2014 season tickets are available and going fast. Call the box office at 866-99-HAWKS or visit us at www.thebayhawks.com to purchase your seats to all the action today. The season kicks off May 3rd at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Don't miss out. The newest of the 3 Bagby restaurants has just opened, and everyone is raving about Fleet Street Kitchen. Fleet Street Kitchen specializes in an organic menu, and all of its food comes locally or from nearby areas. The veggies are all from Cunningham Farms. Blake Smith and his dad, David, have created a magnificent trio of 3 adjacent restaurants. Bagby's Pizza's 1010, and now on 1012 Fleet Street, the Fleet Street Kitchen. Call 410-244-5830 for a reservation, and remember, there is free valet parking on weekends.
Access Title Company, LLC, brings to you experience, relationship, and peace of mind. All great reasons to choose Access Title Company as your residential and commercial real estate settlement company. Choosing a reputable, experienced title company is crucial to a smooth settlement process. Our staff of attorneys and experienced personnel is committed to helping you through the complete process with personal attention, competitive rates, and prompt service. Access Title Company goes anywhere in the state of Maryland to perform your settlement at no additional cost to you. That's why we're Access Title. Please call Melanie, our operations manager, at 410-363-8785 for additional information. That's Access Title Company at 410-363-8785.
It's my pleasure to welcome the Supreme Neighborhood Market Gourmet again to the TerpTalk family. Now under the new ownership of Andy Huffman, Gourmet again on 3717 Old Court Road continues its tradition of being a specialty food market with all meals, soups, and sandwiches being homemade. My family and all of Northwest Baltimore knows that Gourmet again is the best market around. Let Gourmet again cater any party or special occasion that you are having. I absolutely love Gourmet again. Call 410-484-9393. Gourmet Again is open 7 days a week. Visit them on the web at gourmetagain.com. The phone number, once again, 410-484-9393. That's Gourmet Again.
The opinions expressed in the preceding paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors. CBS Sports Radio 1300 is WJZ AM Baltimore, WJZ FM HD3 Catonsville, Baltimore. Live sports talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your home for the new CBS Sports Radio.